Welcome to Coast AM's YouTube channel. I'm George Norrie. Like, share, and subscribe. Also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and coasttocoastam.com. Become a Coast Insider for ad-free access to thousands of shows you'll really enjoy. How's your luck? In a moment, let's check in with Joseph Gallenberger. Liquid Luck on Coast to Coast AM. Dr. Joseph Gallenberger back with us, clinical psychologist with 30-plus years of experience as a therapist. In 1992, he began to investigate psychokinesis, the ability to influence matter using the energy of directed consciousness. This unique energy is useful in healing and manifestation. Gallenberger scientifically confirmed PK in university laboratories and has taught PK in more than 150 workshops, such as his Inner Vegas Adventure, where students achieve dramatic healing, strong influence over dice and slot machines, and many powerful manifestations at home. Dr. Gallenberger is a trainer for the past 30 years at the Monroe Institute, created the very popular MC Square program to teach PK, energy healing manifestation. One of our favorite guests, Dr. Joe, welcome and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, George, and congratulations on 20 years.
Oh, my gosh. It just seems like yesterday, Joe. It just really does.
Yeah.
I was just looking at Liquid Luck again today. What a fantastic book. How did this all start for you?
Well, I, as a psychologist, was always looking around for things that help move things along in terms of consciousness, and Monroe Institute was in my radar because I had out-of-body experiences as a kid. And I went up there and found they had some great technology in the form of meditation exercises to help clients with anxiety, depression, those kind of things, as well as the out-of-body stuff. And so I started with kind of an ET phone home, George, wanting to go out-of-body and off-planet and explore the universe. But after a while, I felt like all those high energies, how could you use them here? And then I turned into looking at how we manifest and how we could do energy healing, those kind of things. And one of the best ways to study that is what you mentioned, psychokinesis, this idea of affecting matter with your own energy, because we can study that in a lab so well. And so I got going at Princeton Labs first. I still work UVA a little bit, University of Virginia, different places where we can kind of study what we can do as people, where you get real good statistical results.
Joe, tell us about Liquid Luck, which you wrote a couple of years ago, man. It's a fantastic book.
Well, after I wanted to figure a way to take 20 years of this experience and distill it down into something that somebody could experience how this is and how much power we do have to change our reality, and to do that experience within less than an hour. So I developed a meditation called Liquid Luck, and that comes from the Harry Potter book kind of idea of he had this potion, and if you took it, you had an exceptionally lucky day, everything going your way. And so I, in the meditation, have people put in the energies of happiness, abundance, gratitude, compassion, praise, those, and then feelings of good fortune in kind of an energy drink that they make in their mind. And then whenever they want to have a great day, they think of that liquid swirling there, beautiful and golden, with all those high qualities in it. And they take a drink. And when that came out, people were winning lotto tickets, scratch tickets of $1,000, 3 weeks
Amazing.
in a row, selling houses, finding soulmates, doing inventions, solving engineering problems that have been bothering the team for years, all that kind of cool stuff. And I got some news stories for you.
Oh, do you? Share some with us. Let's hear them.
Yeah, the one is interesting. There seems lately to be more stories coming about children using this. And so this one came in last week. Kind of read it here. It said, recently started doing Liquid Luck with my 12-year-old son. He had a kickboxing tournament, and he won every single match. So it's like a Karate Kid story here. He won with what his coach said was a new power showing through, that he'd never seen anything like it. I asked my son what was different this time, and he said between each round he used his Liquid Luck potion, and I'm writing to say how impactful on the new generation this will be, to feel universal love, to be beauty and light and power within, and to keep learning what this whole experience is. Add to this, yesterday I won a contest at my yoga studio, $500 and a free month's membership, so she was pretty happy. So that's kind of an interesting one. And this month as well, I got a report from a guy who said that he's using Liquid Luck with psychedelics, and that his whole group of people that have been doing this, everybody who has used Liquid Luck meditation beforehand has had a really positive therapeutic trip. And I don't recommend any psychedelic use unless it's under medical supervision, George, because there's too many fake shamans out there, too many times where there might be a substance in there that you're not aware of. So this is something only to be done, in university research or medical settings, in my opinion. But it was an interesting report that he said usually in the past some people would have less than desired results, and with this they were all in a positive energy and had a good place happen for them. So I thought those are pretty interesting.
That's fantastic. How important is positive energy going into this?
It's super important. You see a movie like The Secret, and it's great telling you to visualize, but to me, that's using your mind, and the mind is like the steering wheel of a car. It can set direction where you want to go, but you go nowhere without gas, and the gas is the positive energy. And if you have that going, it'll blow through fear forms and limiting beliefs and really help you get where you want to go.
Joseph, give us some little overview of the techniques that you recommend to people who want to try this.
Well, I think Liquid Luck book and CD, I wrote a book after this with all the stories about what people have been using it for and why things like happiness are important, and more exercises in the book to generate the happiness and gratitude and abundance feelings that I'm mentioning. So that's a great place to start. And in your own life, to really focus in, I think one of the easiest ways to raise high energy is gratitude. And from my point of view, we could have great gratitude just because we live in a world of miracle that's flowing all the time. We always talk about the miracle on 34th Street, the miracle of Christmas, but you can look at your own human hand, and that's a miracle.
It sure is. Joseph, where do people get your books?
They're on Amazon, and they're on my website. You can go to just type in liquidluckbook.com and get to the website, or my main site is called Sync, SYNC, Creation, CREATION.com, synccreation.com. But you can get in bookstores as well.
Well, you do a great job, Joseph, and I can't wait for your next project to pop up.
I got your interest piqued.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Do you practice Liquid Luck for yourself?
Definitely. In fact, when I did Liquid Luck meditation, I was working with another organization to do meditations, and they had taken a year or two and never got this thing out, so I decided to do it on my own. And within 2 weeks, I had gone through having it voiced, and the brainwave patterning information was put on there for the meditation. Artwork was done and everything, and it was in my hand because of all the synchronicities that happened while I was even making the exercise. So, but I continue to use it. One of the things I do, George, I don't like to go out much. I love to stay on the top of my mountain. So when I go to town, I line up a whole bunch of stuff, go to the DMV, go to the bank, go to the post office, etc.
Sure, get everything done.
Lowe's, right? And I'll often go, it's 20 minutes to town, and I leave, and 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back, and I do all my 5 things in the other 20, and I'm back in an hour after I left. My wife always goes, "What did you do? You must not have done the things on your list." But I go, every light is green, no lines at the places, good places to park, and Liquid Luck helps with that. I just take a drink before I get in the car, and say everything's going to go my way.
Hey, when you say take a drink, you mean to your potion, right?
Yes, my imaginary.
Not a shot of tequila or anything.
That's right. We should be clear.
All right, let's take some calls. Let's go to Connie in Daytona Beach, Florida, to get us started. Hi, Connie.
Hi, George. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you.
Hi, Joseph.
Good night. Good morning, wherever you are, Connie.
I'm in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Okay, you're on my time then. You're up late.
Yeah, it's hopefully it's going to be warmer here. I wish everybody was down here.
I got 3 degrees
anyway.
here in the mountains of North Carolina. What do you got, Connie?
Well, I got mixed up with some bad people, and we had a business, a little 8-room motel, and now I'm on the. They did us wrong. Now I'm on the street, and I'm wondering if you've got anything that you can tell me that'll help me.
Okay, sure. First, that's very challenging, so to be kind with yourself. And the first thing is to not go into putting yourself down for what happened, like, boy,
or beat yourself up. Huh?
Yeah, beating yourself up. So you take that off there. You look for support through churches, through friends, through social organizations, even government organizations. So you begin to see and be around other people and let them express some caring for you during this tough time. That's one thing I'd recommend. And then you go to basics, like make sure you can get some good things to eat, a place, warmth and shelter, and then you gradually begin to rebuild, hopefully not losing your hope in yourself or humanity. There's lots of good people out there, too. And just like somebody came in that treated you wrongly, you can bring in by saying, I deserve it, and I'm ready to receive somebody that can kind of come in my life like an angel might and be of help for what you need next. Does any of that sound like it might help?
Amen. Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And, we've got a little man that never met us before in our life, and he offered to let us stay in his. We have a camper, and he offered to. We couldn't afford a part to put it in, and he let us stay in his yard, and now he's letting us stay in one of his houses.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Magic.
God really is taking care of us.
Great. Thanks, Connie, and have a great Christmas. What happens, Joseph, if you continue to beat yourself up?
It tends, George, to continue the spiral of more negative manifestations, unfortunately, because it's a free choice universe, in my opinion, and you're free to, think what you want and feel what you want. And George, I'm, wanting to always be careful on your show is anytime I talk to anyone to have compassion, because this can be very difficult when, you've been jobless for 3 months, not to go into fear or what have you. But when you do that, it tends to create more of that. And then hopefully somebody comes along, like Connie's person that she didn't even know, that helps you out. And so be willing to accept help and even to ask for it can help you get out of that cycle.
Next up, let's go to Greg in Colorado, first-time caller. Greg, thanks for calling.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, and you're on with Joseph Gallenberger.
Good night, Greg, or good evening.
Hi, Joseph.
Hi.
You're such a wise man, and this is such a good program. I've been listening for 10 years.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg.
And I am a Course in Miracles student.
Yes.
And yeah. And I found your previous caller. I'd been where she was.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have family to talk to this Christmas, but I got a girlfriend. We're going to get together.
Okay.
And Tom Danheiser was so nice to me when I talked to him, and I just love you guys so much. But I had to just turn my life over to an unconditional loving creator.
Mm-hmm.
And once I did that, my whole life has changed. but sometimes I have to really keep my faith. How do you keep your faith up when, and how do you keep your faith and your wisdom? You're just such a wise man.
Well, I like the preface of the Course in Miracles a lot, which says, nothing unreal exists. Nothing real can be threatened. Therein lies the peace of God. And I have some personal meditative experiences when I was kind of coming into this life. And in that time, I just knew that all is in right order at some level, way above good and evil, black and white, pain and pleasure, above polarity, that everything is okay. And even on a kind of a dark night of the soul, I can't remember knowing everything in terms of what I remembered, details, but the feeling of knowing it's all in right order is one of my core parts of my own faith, if you will. And so I don't know if that helps. And I go to things like when my brother committed suicide, still I could look at the beauty of nature and hear the beauty in a piece of music like from Bach, and it would do something to help console me, even in the darkest of times. And my times got pretty dark. I had depression for many years of my life, till about 7 years old, till about 30. And
that's a long time, Joseph.
Yeah. And, you'd have to get up and say, should I slit my throat or get out of bed, kind of thing. And you'd put one foot in front of the other by an act of will. But within that, beauty still was able to penetrate that, even if, I've had a lot of sadness inside me and I had trouble sleeping. I could still receive some consolation through beauty of nature, etc. I don't know if that helps.
It's wonderful. Wonderful. You guys are awesome. I love you.
Thanks, Greg. Have a great Christmas. Yes. With Liquid Luck, Joseph.
Yes.
Can you be practicing it and not even know you're doing it and doing it right?
Sure. There's a lady, you can look on YouTube, I think. There's still some videos of her. I don't know if she's still with us, Helen Hartzell. And she'd win every contest. She'd be on Price is Right, and all those shows way back when, and win the prize every time. And when you listen to her, I think she was maybe in her 70s or 80s on the YouTube video. She was just naturally ebullient, is the word I used for you before, expansive, generous with her time and energy, and naturally appreciative. And so I think she was practicing Liquid Luck without even trying.
I'm going to tell you a story about me, and I want you to analyze it for me, okay? Back in the 1970s, I'm a television producer in Detroit. That's where I was born and raised, and my broadcast career was there for many years. And I'm producing my television newscast for a CBS TV station. My anchorman was a fellow by the name of Ken Thomas. And every once in a while, he'd bring his little boy in who would run around the studio and play around and all that stuff. Now let's jump ahead. I'm in St. Louis. I'm doing my thing. I'm doing radio, and I'm called the Nighthawk. I'm listening to Art Bell's program, and I'm going, gosh, what a great show. I'd love to be able to do some of that. Lo and behold, I get a call to start doing fill-in for the Coast to Coast Art Bell show. And, of course, I jumped at the opportunity. Now, Art decides he's going to retire. We're coming up to 2003. Mm-hmm. And the network calls me up and says, we want to fly you to Los Angeles and talk to you about replacing Art. Mm-hmm. And I went, okay. So off I fly. Now, I'm meeting the network president. His name's Ken Kitchen. And he's got a picture of a guy on his desk, and it's Ken Thomas. Now, Ken Thomas's real name was Ken Kitchen. I looked at that picture and looked at him and said, that's your father? And he said, yeah. His father had since passed. And he said, yeah, that's my father. And I said, you were the little boy, weren't you? Now, what are the odds of that happening?
About 1,000,000,000 to 1, quadrillion to 1. And that's a really great manifestation story, George. That's how it works. There's these big circles sometimes, 20 years long, and then you circle back and I would guess, I wish I could go back in time. I would guess you were kind to that little child.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Cute little kid doing his thing.
Yeah. Well, somebody would say, "Go away, kid, you bother me," like W.C. Fields. I would say in comedy, right?
That could have bitten me years later, right?
Right. But instead, you made that child's day a little better, and he made your life better.
Dr. Joseph Gallenberger with us, and your phone calls, our final segment. Joseph, what do your colleagues say about your work?
They're pretty interested. You have the conservative academics that might just be polite and not even mention it. But you got a lot of people that are into the transpersonal area of psychology and are interested in consciousness. But frankly, George, even more than psychologists, who seems to be real interested are physicists usually.
Yeah.
And so they're real excited about this stuff because they think it moves to the very nature of reality, which might be the nature of consciousness, is the big question, bigger than the Big Bang and those kind of things. So what is consciousness?
Back to the calls east of the Rockies. Joe, Long Island, New York. Hey, Joe, go ahead.
Merry Christmas, George.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah. Joseph, I want to ask you two quick questions.
Yeah.
One is, I just started this audio book, which probably just came out. It's called, it's talking about dealing with anticipated anxiety when you get on, overcoming anticipated anxiety when, people just can't, they're anticipating they're going to panic when they get on a plane and won't even get on a plane, that type of thing. But talked about positive and negative reinforcement in this book, and it gave a definition of negative reinforcement that was more like alleviating the pain, like if you drank some water, you're alleviating the thirst, and that's negative reinforcement. I'm just not sure about that definition. That's my first question. And then you had mentioned that in your lab you said that people actually gave out an electrical current while they were healing someone, like laying on of hands. If you could just say a little bit more about that. And my comment would be, if I was going to Vegas and I won something significant, I wouldn't be too confident in getting digital currency. And if I did, I'd convert that right into
cash.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the good news is I don't think they pay in digital out there. They'll pay in cash. Back to your second the question about the energy. We're just starting to look at that. At Rhine Institute in North Carolina, they have a room that's so dark that they can measure just a few number of photons in the room. And when a human goes in there, there's more photons. But when an energy healer goes in there, there's a dramatic increase in the amount of light that you can measure in that room. Up at Monroe, we have what we call at Monroe Institute the copper room, where they have you grounded and shielded from other kinds of sources, and they look at the potential in volts of how much energy the person's giving off, and we find that the average person is quite low, but then if you have people who have been meditating or expert energy healers, those kinds of things, you get a dramatic increase in the amount of electricity that can be measured. So they're looking at it in different kind of ways that way. And
the other one was on anxieties.
Yes, and the other one was on anxiety. Yeah, you want to be in the present moment. And, the biggest thing for me that a lot of people are missing when they want to manifest better, including more relaxed, is they're not what we call grounded. They're not in the present moment, here now reality. They're anticipating the future or worried about the past, and you lose your power that way. So you want to move into a place where you're it's the power of now, Eckhart Tolle idea of you are in this present moment, what can I do? I'm not on the plane right now. I'm still on the ground. So do I need to be anxious? No. And you work at bringing yourself more strongly in the present. And self-talk can do that. You can make a worry list, like I'll worry about that tomorrow, but here it's on the list so I won't forget. You can, by meditation, move into each present moment better and relax the body. But yeah, it's dangerous to put much of your energy toward worrying about the future. That's what we say. Fear is a prayer for what you do not want. And so, I hope the plane does not have a lot of turbulence is not the kind of thought we want in the manifestation work, because it's likely that enough people thinking that might create a little bit more turbulence than necessary. Does that make sense?
It sure does. Let's go to Cheryl of Washburn, Missouri. Hi, Cheryl. Go ahead.
Hey, George. Here's the deal. Long time ago, in the 90s, my sister and I, our dad had a heart attack, and we live here in Missouri, so we drove down to Louisiana, where our dad was, and stayed at the hospital for a couple of days.
Uh-huh.
We had enough money to get back. It's pre-cell phone, so we couldn't call our husband to get the cash, whatever, back then. We had $2 we could put in the payphone or just whatever. I said, you know what, to hell with this. We're sitting on the side of the highway. So we turn around, go to the casino, and it's like, this is less than $2, and maybe get the gas money. I don't know. Anyway, put $2 in, got $80. Had the money to get back. That's liquid luck.
Uh-huh. That's liquid luck.
Thank you.
And if my guess is that the heck with it, you mentioned those words, that's the letting go and trusting, if you will, that somehow it'll be okay, and then having enough positive expectation to go and try and take a risk in the casino, and then it paid off for you, which is great.
How often does it pay off, Joseph?
I think a heck of a lot more often than if you stay in a negative mood and say, that same person, that situation, go, I can't go to the casino, they'll just rob me of my money. If you have that kind of a thought, that possibility then is not on the table anymore. So it opens up the potentials. And if you look at whether it happens or doesn't, often you can judge that by how much fear was there versus how much there was a feeling of desire for what you're wanting. And so if you have 90% fear and 10% desire, it's likely to be the opposite of what you want. If you get down to 10% fear and 90% thinking, I want to go home and be with my loved ones, and your heart's kind of open to that, then that tends to be when that machine will pay you.
Interesting.
The timing will be right. You go to the right machine at the right time, etc.
Let's go to David, Louisville, Kentucky. Hey, Dave. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, George. Merry Christmas, Doctor.
Thank you.
So September 25th, 2020, I had a stroke, a double aneurysm, 2 brain surgeries. And when I woke up, I was paralyzed on my left side, which I continue to be. They're doing electrostimulation at physical therapy. And I just didn't know if any one of you all have heard of any other thing that might help to wake up those sensory nerves to be able to move and walk again.
Do you have a paper and pencil with you?
Yes, sir, I did. I made sure to grab one before I made the phone call.
Okay, there's an organization called HEMI, H-E-M-I, and then a hyphen, and then the word sync, S-Y-N-C, so hemisync.com. And they have some meditation CDs called Brain Repair and Maintenance, and they have a stroke recovery series. And these are the meditations using the methods that I use in my home study course, and they can help rewire, it seems, and accelerate a little bit more of the healing that could happen after stroke. So it's called the Stroke Recovery Series, and hemisync.com is where you could get it.
And David, ask your doctor about turmeric and ask him what he thinks about it. It's an anti-inflammatory, and that could help you too.
Yes. And so all that under medical care, but, and what I'm saying, it depends on, you don't want to have seizures and that kind of thing going on too. But if it seems safe to do so, the things we're mentioning might be of help.
Now we're gonna.
You all said about gratitude earlier. Gratitude is when you wake up after 5 days in ICU after 2 brain surgeries, and you realize you're now wheelchair bound, and your wife of 32 years is your caretaker. She showers you, she helps you in and out of the bathrooms, dressing, feeding you, and doing everything.
Yeah.
So I'm truly blessed that my wife stuck with me, and we live comfortable here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Good for you. Get better, David. You're in our prayers, and keep checking in with us. Let's go to John in Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. Hey, John.
Hello, George. Hello, Joseph.
Hi.
Merry Christmas. Foremost, George, I wanted to congratulate you and Tommy on 20 years with Coast to Coast. You're a fabulous team and a blessing to many.
Thank you.
Joseph, what a superb guest to have tonight. I believe that if our political, business, and religious leaders incorporated liquid luck into their daily communication, we'd have harmony in our country and world. You know, as human beings, we act on emotion. When something bad happens to us, we throw gas on the fire. Joseph, you gave a perfect example of your cat and your dogs on how you reacted in a positive way that could have turned bad, but turned things to peace, harmony, and civility. That's what this country desperately needs. Joseph, I don't have a question for you. I just wanted to encourage you to stay healthy, keep up the good work, and all the best in the new year.
Thank you, and very good to hear from you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, John. And what tremendous listeners we have on this program, Joseph.
Yes, George. This is a special, I don't know if you even can imagine how special this show is to everybody. I hear continually that, Coast has changed people's lives, and that's so rare nowadays. So,
Joseph, where does greed fit in? Does greed screw things up?
Yeah, definitely, George. It's probably one of the main manifestations of fear. When you're afraid that you're going to lose, then you hold on too tightly, and greed is a way to kind of hold on. We see. We had a blessing bucket in Vegas in the corner, and I can tell whether the group is going to do well, how many people put in money to help others before we even get started. And if the group is open and generous, it's likely that we're going to do better. If they hold the money too tightly, as in greed, then we're going to have some rough energetic waters to have to go through before we open things up.
What do you think of prayer, Joseph?
I love prayer. There's, many different kinds. There's petition, asking for something, but there's contemplative prayer and praising prayer. But anything that would connect us strongly with Source or Spirit as we see it tends to get us out of our ego mind and broaden our perspective. And so, and then, I personally believe that asking you shall receive. A lot of times that's the first step is just to say, I now surrender to something bigger than myself, and I ask for help.
Do you believe positive thinking is the single most important factor in all of this?
Positive feeling even more than thinking.
And explain what that is.
You could be very poor. You could just have had a stroke like one of our people tonight. You could be in pain, but you could also be grateful that your wife stayed with you, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the positive feeling, even though realistically you might say, gee, I'm never going to play the piano again, or whatever it might be. You focus on the good enough to be able to create positive feelings to flow. And in fact, that tends to change your thinking to a more positive direction.
Joseph, you have yourself a great Christmas, and keep coming back, okay?
Thank you, George. It's my pleasure. We'll do another 20, huh?
You got it. Joseph Gellenberger.
If you want to listen to our show ad-free 24/7, access audio archives, live chat with me, and much more, you need to become a Coast Insider now. So you're telling me your grandmother, who died a few weeks ago, came and visited you last night in your bedroom, and you're not scared? Are extraterrestrials living among us? I don't know if it's true or not, folks, but we're going to find out. If you enjoy stories like these and want to learn more about the mysteries of the universe with me, become a Coast Insider now to access hundreds of our archive shows to listen anytime, anywhere. Sign up now at coasttocoastam.com/Coast Insider. That's coasttocoastam.com/Coast Insider.